If you wanna stay with me, if you wanna try.
Hi there, welcome back to the Board Game Specialist. I'm Carla.
And I'm Melanie.
And today we are talking about games that are good for big groups. And we said like 5 to 6 players plus.
Yeah.
I think all of mine are 6 plus, but 5 plus as well. I know we have sometimes game days with our big game group, and then we find out 5 or 6 of us are coming, and we're all like, okay, let's figure out some games. And it is limited because the majority of games I would say are 4 players. You know, up to 4 players. There's a big chunk of 2 players, but the vast majority in my collection anyway is not other than party games, which we didn't choose for this section here. But how did you find it?
You know, like personally, if we're going to have a large group of people, like if it's going to be 6 or more people and we want to play something that's not a party game, my preference would be let's divide up into 2 groups.
Yeah.
But that's not always everybody's preference. So yeah, I went with games, non-party games that are for 6 and up. And I kind of put my list where if it was like, I give priority to games that were above 6 players, and I give priority to games that were above 6 players but still felt like a chunkier game. So that's kind of how I placed the list.
Right. All right. Yeah, I have a variety of types of games, some card games, some tile games, and just a mix of things. So it'll be interesting if we have any crossovers.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah. But before that, we always talk about a game that we've been playing. And my first game that I've been playing is a newer one to me, and this is called Skara Brae. This is one of the Garfield games that he produces. This one I had thought was a solo game, not before I bought it, but when it was on Kickstarter and whatnot, and which wouldn't have turned me away because I do like solo games, but thought, well, I'll just kind of wait till it comes out and kind of have a look and see if I think I would enjoy it. So anyway, I kind of, watched a bunch of reviews and had a look, and I realized this is totally my game because it's like a resource management game, which I love. So what this game is about, it's quite interesting. It's kind of got a Scottish theme, and it's about a thriving community in Orkney Islands of northern Scotland, and rather than discarding all their garbage, so like shells, tools, bones, and other waste, they used to form large mounds of earth and over hundreds of years, and then later generations would dig into these piles, and they would like have protection in there, I think, for like in winter from like harsh winds and cold air, so that they could stay warm. And I don't know how they figured this out, that this would actually work, that stuff would like solidify and be able to not cave in on them, but that's what they did. So they decided to, okay, we're going to try this out, and hundreds of years the next generations used it. But the mechanic in the game is neat because you all have this player board with all these different spaces where you can put resources. And there are 16 different types of resources.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So if there's another one that has more resources, I would like to know, because I feel like this is probably one of the most. But so buying this game, I also bought a whole bunch of little dividers that, like, they had little chit holders, but had like dividers, so I didn't need to have 16 of them. I could have 8 and then put half in each.
Okay.
It's quite a bit. But what you do in this is first you will draft cards, and the turn order is kind of neat because it's kind of like a triangular, well, kind of circular, I guess, if there's 4 people, but 3 people, it's triangular. And you start with a turn order, and that first person either chooses to choose a card or they pass. And if they pass, they slide their disc up. And that would mean they would probably be first in turn order next time they choose. So you can see in your rounds, there's 4 different sets of cards, and you can see them all laid out, so you can tell like, oh, I really want that card in that second one, so I'm going to pass. I don't care which one I get in this one. I really want that other one. So that's how the turn order works. And then when everybody's gone, the person who passed gets to go first, or gets to go, and then they will be on top. So they'll be first next time. But you're going to draft these cards, and these cards they'll do different things. They will go underneath your player board into different sections. And these are the gathering sections for the majority of the cards. You could possibly get things that will help you upgrade different things on your player board. And then after you choose the cards, each time somebody chooses a card, like you'll all take a card, then you will place your workers. So you get to place your workers 4 times around. Now is it 3? I'm just forgetting if it's 3 or 4. I can't remember if it's 3 sections or 4 sections, but so you get to do a ton of actions because there are 4 rounds, I believe, of 4 sets of cards. So you're going to be able to do a whole bunch of actions, and every new round you get another extra worker. So the first one you start with 1, and then the second you start with 2, and so on. And you get to place them. And so on your player board, you have all these areas where you place your workers. You only play them on your own board. And you have small workers and you have 1 large worker. And all the small workers have to be in different spaces, but a large worker can be placed on one that your small worker is on. And what those things can do for you is you can gather. So you can gather different resources depending where you place them. You can upgrade things on your board to give you a better point structure at the end, like if you have so many cards, well, you'll get 1 per card, but if you move this up this one track, you'll get maybe 3 per group of card or whatnot. So it's all different things you can do that way. You can flip over some of the tiles that are your worker placement spots, and those will be upgraded to give you better actions. You can also do things like, let me see what else is on there.
Like cook?
Oh, you cook. That's a really important one because you do have to feed your people. So you can cook different things. There's animals, fish. I think there's shells, which I'm assuming they think they're like, you would be oysters or whatever's in there. You can cook those. There's like rabbits. And different things that you can, there might even be a plant one that you can cook. So, but they will take up like 1 animal that you have in your spot. When you cook it, it's going to take up more spots because you're going to have the hide and you're going to have some bones. And so then it's going to spread out into your sections where you can keep all your resources. And by the end, you don't want to have them completely full because the more that you have there, you're going to have negative points at the end. So at the beginning, it's okay to have a bunch as long as you can do a cleanup. And that's another action you can do, is do a cleanup where you can get rid of some things and basically just slide everything over. Now, that costs resources as well. So you're paying resources to do that, but then you get to slide your little marker over so that you're having less negative points. It's a really simple game to teach, but it's very, very thinky. And this one I'm excited to teach at Car Treat coming up here next month because it'll be, like that easy teach, but it's still going to take a while, I believe, because there's going to be so many decisions that you need to make. And you're like, well, I don't know. Should I clean? Should I cook? Should I upgrade? Should I gather? But if I gather, then I've got way too many. So it's really, really thinky, but I really, really enjoy it. And yeah, that's the game I'm talking about is Skara Brae.
Nice. It's a great looking game too.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's really nice.
All right. So the game I'm going to talk about is not on the same level as far as complexity goes. And this is Park Life, the Hedgehog Edition. So this is a game by Charming Games, and it just arrived last week. And we ended up playing it while we're at FalCon. And it's a trick-taking game, and it was really cool. So each card, you'll have like a different weather. And depending on what the weather is, what you're going to be selling. So if it's nice and sunny, we're selling ice cream. If it's like cloudy, then we're going to be selling lanterns. If it's raining, it's going to be umbrella and so on, right? And with this one, because we're selling stuff, to win the trick is whoever has the lowest price. So the lowest price is going to win the trick. And you'll notice on the cards, if you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice that there's this little icon that has like a discard a card. So what's really interesting is as you win tricks, whichever way, like, and you can follow suit or not, it's up to you. So if I started with Cloudy 4 and you're like, well, I'm not going to play a cloud, I'll play a snow, and then somebody else plays something else. But whoever has the lowest Cloudy 4 would win. So if I won this with the Cloud 4, then I would get to keep my cloud. The other cards are discarded, and I have to discard one card out of my hand as well. Now, that is going to score me 4 points for being the number 4. So you kind of don't really want to win with like a number 1 because it's only going to be worth a number 1. Now, if you're winning with like a number 10, you're discarding a lot of cards, like 4 or 5 cards that you have to discard out of your hand. And if a trick comes along and you are out of cards in your hand, you don't partake. You're out of that round. So it's kind of a really interesting. You're trying to win possibly with some low cards to start with, or just discard some cards. But you're trying to keep your bigger cards for like the last round, ideally. And it was a really interesting spin on a trick taking game. And it took a while. Like we played it, and actually we did do a live playthrough of this, so you can find that on the channel as well. But it took a while to kind of grasp what strategy you're trying to go for. Because at first, like, well, I'm going to discard these 10s. I don't want to be discarding this many cards. And then it was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm scoring like little points here because I'm winning them with like 1s and 2s and 3s or something. So it's like, okay, well, then maybe I'll discard those. It was a really interesting game. So definitely kind of have a learning round. But then when you play it the second time, it's like, okay, I am getting this now. And it's just such an interesting game. And you kind of, okay, am I going to follow suit? Am I not going to follow suit? And then by the time you're like, hey, I want to follow suit because I want to win, and they're playing things that you can't follow suit with anymore, then it's like, oh no, I need to. So it is a very interesting game. I quite enjoyed it. Artwork is just adorable, of course. And it actually came with a little plushie that you could put the game in. But yeah, no, that was a hit. We really enjoyed this one. So that is my recent play, Park Life.
Nice. You've been doing lots of live streams, like you did a whole bunch at FallCon, right?
Yeah. We did. I think it was like 20 some videos on my own channel there.
Wow.
So there was a lot
in that
of live
one
plays.
weekend. Oh,
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Of
Well,
work.
it was interesting actually because we attended FallCon, so I did a few live playthroughs, but then I also did a few interviews. Like we interviewed Steve, who is one of the founders of FallCon. Like
cool.
for when FallCon was first started. And did you realize they had an auction at FallCon 1 and had like 300 games in that particular auction? The auction's been like all along. And then we also had like all the finalists for the Canadian Game Design Award, as well as the person who runs it to kind of talk more about that award. So no, it's really, really neat. I've really enjoyed attending FallCon, but live streaming, yes, because you were doing some exciting things.
Yeah, I've missed. That's my favorite big convention around here, which I hate to miss. And I've been a little bit quiet on Discord the last 2 months because I've been doing something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I've been training and taking courses for our search and rescue team here in Central Alberta. So me and my husband just joined, and we just finished the course and passed, and we are new recruits. And so now we will be on the search and rescue team. And yeah, it's a lot of fun and a lot of work though. There's some there's some really interesting like survival skills and stuff that we're learning that we thought we knew, even though at this age we've been campers and backpackers and hikers and still learning stuff. So yeah, it's really interesting. But I did hate to miss that, and I seen all the games you played and all the live streams you've done. So you did a whole bunch of work for that. So good job.
Yeah, well, congratulations to you and your husband as well.
Thanks. All right. Well, that game looks really cool. I will definitely have to try it. It looks like it's the same artist as Otter that we played.
Well, it's from the same publishing company.
Oh, okay.
And I believe it's the same designer. So
okay.
Otter, Capybara, and yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. Yeah, neat. All right. Well, let's get to it. We are talking about our top 9 big games. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about is a card game. I have actually not played this card game with gamers. I purchased it because it was one of the Grandpa Beck's games, which I seem to love all those games. And they sometimes will take a game that is like a traditional game and they'll kind of put a spin on it. This one I've never heard of before, so maybe they have done this from something, but this one is called Cover Your Assets, and it's quite a simple game.
I do like this one too,
but it's really fun, and I found that like real hard non-gamers actually like this game. And when I say real hard non-gamers, I'm like the people who really don't like games, but they'll play in certain situations, right? So this one is neat because you start with a couple cards and you have them. You start with a few face up in front of you, and then you have some in your hand. And on your turn, you pick up cards either from the deck or you can pick up from the discard. But the only way you can pick up from the discard is if you have matching ones in your hand, because you would have to play them down on top of your pile. And so what's in your pile are your assets. And I think you always have to have a pair to place down. I haven't played this in a long time, but probably like a year ago. But then you place them face up in front of you. Those are vulnerable. The top ones are vulnerable for other people to take, because on your turn you could also say like, I'm gonna take your top whatever is there. You might have, I can't think of what things were. Like a car. I think there was one that was...
Yeah, there was a car. I think there was like some real estate, maybe gold.
Yeah, stuff like that. Gold jewelry and stuff. But so then in order for me to take it, that player, if they don't have one in their hand, if they did have one in their hand, they can say no, like I'm keeping that. But then I can play one in my hand, and then if they have one in their hand, we can go back and forth, and whoever lays the last one gets to keep it. So it might be, and they are different values. Like I don't remember which one is the real high one, but there's one that's like, I don't know, 20,000 or something like that, and they go all the way down to like 5,000. I think there's some that you can just get gold or silver, and then you're stealing those. But what you're wanting to do is get your really valuable ones underneath other assets so that they can't be stolen, because as soon as somebody steals the top one, well, then that next one is vulnerable. And so you just keep going around until that pile, the deck is done. And I think maybe you go through one more from the discard possibly. And then after that, you just count up your assets. And so it's quite simple, but it's just really fun, because when you're trying to steal from people, and what you might do is stack your hand with some of the things that someone has. And a lot of it is luck too, because I mean, how do you know what people are going to have facing up when it comes to your turn? But you may have like 3 of what they have in your hand, and you go back and forth and you lay the last one and you get it. It's a fun game, and it's just one of those, kind of I wouldn't say it's a party game, but it feels like it's pretty chill, and you can chat while you're still playing it, but it's still like thinking like, what am I going to do? Am I going to save these cards? Because you always have to discard as well. So you're going to have to be like, which do I want to discard? I don't want this one in my hand because I don't have very many of them, but I want it because she's got it on her pile there, and she's got like 4 of them. So if I get it, I'm going to get all of them, kind of thing. But it's just a really neat family weight game, I would say, and fun for even non-gamers. So that's my number 9, Cover Your Assets.
Yeah, cover your assets is so fun. It's very take that.
Yeah, it is.
So I
But
had
it's
like
not a
some of my
long game.
kids.
Yeah.
No, it plays fairly quick, but I
Yeah.
had some kids when we played it were like, what
Upset.
is so mean? All right. My number 9 is Power Grid. Now, Power Grid will play from 2 to 6 players. So it does hit that 6 player. And Power Grid is a really interesting game because first you're going to be doing like an auction to get different power plants that's going to be available. And it's kind of interesting because whoever's first player is going to be doing the auction first. They're going to kind of place the bids, and then you can kind of outbid until everybody's got something if they wish. You don't have to buy a new power plant every turn. Then in reverse order, so whoever was first player, so then the last player is going to be able to go and purchase the like the material that you need to power your power plant or to run your power plant, whatever. But and what's cool is because they're going first, they're able to purchase their resources that they need at the lowest price. And as they pick away and take what they need, then the price slowly kind of creeps up. So by the time the last player goes and takes what they're paying a little bit more, but they got first dibs on other things, right? And then you can place your power plants onto this map. Actually, I just want to point out, I got a map sent to me by Rio Grande Game, like an extra map, and it has like Quebec on the one side. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, so you have the maps, you can place your power plant on there, and then depending on how much power you're generating, you can power up the cities. And then as you're powering up the cities, that's going to provide you income to be able to go and bid some more and buy more resources and so on. So it's a very interesting game. Like it's satisfying to play, kind of, it's an economic game, like area control game. Definitely you can get in each other's way a little bit as well, but you kind of want to kind of build your power plant and start providing power to the most cities as you can. So it's neat. Now this game does come with like a paper money, but it doesn't, like, I don't think it's like a paper money. I think it's like almost like a shiny type. Yeah, like it has a shiny finish to it. But it works with this game. So, and it's cool, like, because the more city you provide electricity for, the higher your income becomes. And it's not like, okay, every city's this much, but it's like, okay, well, I'm powering 3 cities now, I'm making this much more money. So, and then eventually you get like better power plants as it comes along. And then like some will be like, oh, this one is powered by uranium, but that's a lot more expensive. But in the beginning, like coal is like and oil is like the most accessible resources. But as time passes, it becomes like they're not as used, so they're not as cheap anymore. While the other resources that were like hard to get become more available. So you want to upgrade your power plants as you go. And then you can even get green power plants where it'll take like solar or wind, and it doesn't require any resources. It'll just generate power. So it's a really neat game. I do enjoy that one. And then if you're a bigger group, this one can, go up to 6 players fairly easy. You're probably going to start getting in your way a little bit more, but the lower player count, you block off section of the map. So at the higher player count, just the whole map would be available. But that is my number 9, Power Grid.
Yeah, it scales really well. I know I've played a 6-player game of this, and by the end, everyone is standing up and waiting for those last couple rounds, like just trying to see what's going to happen or whatever. But yeah, it's good. All right, my number 8 is a tile laying game, and this one is Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. This one, I mean, I love Castles of Mad King Ludwig, and this one puts it in a semi-cooperative game. And when I say semi, I mean you are definitely working with other people, but you still, in the final end, it's your score. And so what's really neat about this game is the production. The tiles are all placed in game trays, and that is basically your setup for the game. So you basically set up your game after your last game because you reshuffle the tiles, you place them in there, and then it's ready to go for the next game. And so how it works is you are building a castle with the person on your left and the person on your right. And this one is it a 2 to 7? It says 2 to 7. There must be a 2-player version of it. It
2
does
to
say
7.
2 to 7. Best at 3 to 7 because if it's 2 to 7, you're probably each building 2 castles or something. But with 3 and higher, you're going to have your 2 castles, one on your left, one on your right, that you're working with the other player. And the neat thing is you want to have them evenly come out. So you don't want to like build like this huge, big high point castle on your left and then a low point on your right because you will only count the lowest one. So you really try to even them out. And it's tricky because you're trying to work them the best, but then the players that you're working with are trying to work yours and theirs the best. So sometimes you pass them a tile because how you do it is you draft a tile and then you pass to the left. So you very well may be passing one to your partner thinking that's the one I want you to choose next time, but they might be looking at their other castle. So it's the drafting is really neat too because you start with this pile of tiles, you pick one, and then you go to the left, and it might swap in other rounds to the right. I can't remember if it does, but it's just neat that way how you're kind of going here's the tiles, like you know what I want you to do. But it doesn't always come out that way. But it's neat because you're building this castle from a foyer and you're building to the side of it, above it, and below. And there's certain rooms that once you build them to the side, you can't have anything above them. There might even be some that you can't have any below, but once you build below, you can only build below the staircase. Like you have to have certain stair or downstairs rooms down there, and then you can't put normal rooms down there. There's outdoor rooms. Yeah, the outdoor rooms can't have anything on top, obviously. And then it's also neat because once you get a certain number of types of rooms, then you get a bonus like you would in Castles of Mad King Ludwig, and they're all different types of bonuses. So you might have like bonus cards, you might get different little icon tiles that you get to put on to add more points in your room. You might get to just grab another tile. There's all different kinds of things you can do, but it's neat how you're working together to do that and, you know, trying to get as many points as you can on both sides because it's not as easy as it sounds, but it's really fun. I love it. And that's my number 8, Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Great pick. Yeah, the box says 3 to 7, but it did say 2 to 7.
Yeah, in the Board Game Geek.
On Peachy Stat, yeah, Board Game Geek. All right, my number 8 is Keyflower. Now, Keyflower is a game I absolutely love. This one will play from 2 to 6 players. It seems every time I get it played, we tend to be at a higher player count. Like I've played this at 4, 5, 6 players even, and it just goes well. Now, be warned, there's a lot of opportunity for analysis paralysis in this one. Yeah. But that can happen. Now, each tile, there's 6 sides to the tile, and depending on the side that faces you is the side that is like your side for all of the tiles. So if I'm directly on, you know, kind of at the top, then any side that is at the top of those tiles, those are my side. And it has a bidding mechanism as well, but you're using your meeples to bid. So if I place a meeple on one tile and I place a yellow meeple, then I bid 1 meeple on here. If somebody wants to try to outbid me, they're going to need to put 2 meeples, but because I've already assigned the yellow to it, they would have to put 2 yellow meeple. Then somebody could come and try to outbid them with 3 yellow meeples, but you may or may not have those meeple colors that you need. And as people are bidding for these tiles, you might be like, okay, well, I can't outbid you guys, but I really want to do it. So I'm just going to put my meeple right on the tile and activate it now. You don't have to wait till you own it to activate it. And in fact, after somebody owns it, you can go and activate other people's tiles as well. Now, the drawback of that is you're helping them because those meeples that are on top goes to them, whether they're on the tiles that they're bidding. Whoever wins that bid will get that extra meeple, Or if you go in their village and you activate tiles on their village to utilize, they're going to get that meeple at the end of the round as well. So they're going to be like more powerful for the next round. You can even get like one tile that's going to change your meeple colors into a green meeple. And green meeples are never going to be available unless you generate them. So it makes your meeple that much more powerful to bid with because they're going to be hard to outbid. And it has like a tile placement aspect. You're kind of creating a village, and you got to line up the roads. And then depending on what it does, like you'll have assets that are created there, and then you may want to move your assets so that you can upgrade your tiles and flip them over because then they're going to be worth more points. And then there's a boat that comes each round because this will play for every season. And then on those boats, you'll have different meeples that'll give you different like new meeples to be able to use to bid. Like the whole thing is so interesting. But yes, analysis paralysis can be a problem. And then just go in with the understanding that what you add to your village does not necessarily belong to you. It will for points, but other people can utilize it because it's frustrating if you be like, okay, great. I bought this tile. I'm going to do this so I can move these resources there and I'm going to upgrade this thing. And then somebody goes and he utilizes it.
Yeah.
Now you can still use it, but now you're going to have to send 2 meeples to activate that same tile, and they've assigned the color. So maybe I was hoping to use my red, but they've put a blue one, so now I have to use a blue one. Totally wrecks the rest of my plan. So that kind of frustration can happen. And I personally find that makes a game really interesting, but for some people, it makes a game just very frustrating. So be warned. But that is my number 8, Keyflower.
Yeah, that was fun. We played that at a big player count. That's when I played it, was with you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So my number 7 is a trick-taking game, and this one is Rebel Princess. This one plays at 3 to 6. Best at 4 to 6. Yeah, the more the better, I think, in this one. It's such a neat trick-taking game. It kind of follows the game of Hearts, where Hearts is a old trick-taking game with just a deck of cards where you are either trying to collect as many tricks as you can, but you're going to want none or all kind of thing. And if you can get all, then it's called Shoot the Moon, and you get like big points. Now, in this one, it's neat because you have different like player powers that you start the game with, and they're these tiles, and you can flip that tile and do that power at any time in the game, depending on when it says you can do that. And so you can really flip things around. So, because you might have a power that lets you decide who's going to start the trick. So somebody might be like just, winning all the tricks, and they're winning good points, and I'll explain what those are. And you're like, I need to put a stop to this right now. So I'm going to play this, and I'm going to lead the trick now, and I'm going to play this suit that I have a bunch of so that they're not going to win them all. And you don't want them to win all of one type of suit because then they shoot the moon and they get a bunch of points. Now I'm forgetting if it's negative. You want low points in this one, I think.
Yes, because you
don't want points in this game. Yeah.
Well, they're proposals, right?
Yeah, proposals.
And you don't want proposals.
Yeah, the theme behind this is these princesses are going to a ball, and they do not want to be proposed to. They don't want to be bothered by these princes. So every time a proposal happens, it's a negative point. And what those are these little symbols on the princes. They're skulls, I think, on the princes. And so anytime a card is played with a skull and you've won that trick, you're going to have a negative point. Now, the only way the princes can get into the ball, though, is if they sneak in. And how they do that is basically the first time they would get in is they're going to slough. And sloughing in a trick-taking game is if you can't win a trick or if you can't play the suit that was led, you can slough something, meaning you're not going to play a trump card to win the trick. You're going to play something just to give it up. And so that's the way they get into the ball. The other way they could is if you don't have any of that suit, you can play one. That's exactly what I just said. But you can. There is another way. No, there's another way you can do it. It's
Because once
You
is
can't
played,
ever
you can
lead
start.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is a rule too. You can't ever lead with it. The only way you can is if I think that's all you have left is those. Then, I mean, you would have to lead with it. But then there's also this one, there's another suit called a pet suit. And there is this one pet card that is a frog. And he has a whole bunch of skulls on him because he's the prince frog.
Yes.
And so you really don't want that card either.
No.
But if you see somebody collecting all the princes, then you need to put a stop to it and you need to do something about it. The other thing about it is at the beginning of each round, there is like not an objective card, but a rule card that changes the rule of that round. So every round is played a little bit different. It might say everybody has to take one card and put it face down, and that is going to be the last card they play in the trick. And you don't have a clue what is going to be played, what suit, who's leading it, or what. It's just kind of a gamble. It might say everybody pass 2 cards to the right or left, and or just different things like that. But it's neat because it just changes up the mundane of just a plain base trick-taking game, and it just makes it really fun and neat. And we always play this, the last 2 at least at Card Treat. We always play this in Saturday night, and we always have a blast with this one. But yeah, that's my number 7, Rebel Princess.
Yeah, that one is so good. And then over the weekend at Falcon, David was there from Pimento, and he brought me the expansions to this one.
Oh yeah,
so
nice.
Yeah, I haven't tried it yet. So
so there's an expansion, and then they're also coming out with a zombie princess one, or zombie rebel princess. I'm not sure what that one's about, but it'll be interesting, I'm sure.
Nice. All right, so my number 7 is our first crossover. And that is between the 2 castles of Madkin Ludwig, which plays up to 7 players. And this one is just so great, as you kind of discussed. It's quick to put in. You're building. It kind of takes between 2 cities and Castle Madkin Ludwig and kind of created a new type of game. So you are building a castle, but you're building like floors by floors. And it is so interesting. Like, it feels cooperative, but it's not yet. It's just... you get 2 tiles, you decide which tile you're going to put on which castle on either side of you, and you're cooperating with the other people. So it's in your best interest to build the best castle, the highest scoring castles, because you want ideally both castles to be worth a lot of points, because you only get to claim the lowest one. It's such a great, great game. And then, it's one that's at a higher player count. It doesn't add up to, like, sometimes like there's too many players, it really adds length to this game. It doesn't with this one, because you're really still only building 2 castles, and everybody else is only building 2 castles. So yes, we have a big table full of people, but we're only got 2 things we need to worry about, and that's just a great game. So between 2 castles of Madkin Ludwig, our first crossover.
Nice. All right, I have another tile laying game this time, and this one for my number 6 is Fit to Print. Now this one plays at 1 to 6, and this is a real-time game. So again, it doesn't really matter if you had 3 players or 6 players, either than scoring. That's the only extra time you're going to take in this game. Now this one is a tile management game, I guess we could say, because you have a newspaper and you have 3 rounds, and you have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday newspaper. And you start with Friday, and Friday has the smallest of area out of the 3. And so you are just going to take all the tiles and flip them upside down and just in a big pile in the middle of the table and just mix them all up. And then you're going to say, like, go, and everyone's just going to start flipping tiles, and they'll flip them, and they can choose to take them or not. If they don't take them, they leave them flipped up so that people can see what they are. And you have this little desk that it's like a 3D desk that you're going to place these tiles on. And then when you think you have enough or you're done, you will say, like, I'm done. And if you're the first one, you get to grab the first player card and the second player and so on. And then I think is there a timer in this one? I forget now. If once the first player grabs or the last player, then
It's
you
real
only have
time.
so
So I don't
much
know if
time.
there's a timer so much as like
remember.
you kind of set this up yourself.
Yeah,
Because
I can't remember if once somebody grabs, then you only have so much time left. But
yeah, probably.
anyway.
Honestly, they probably, because you can't just take whatever amount of time you want.
Yeah, no, there's some
Yeah.
limit, but I don't remember. Anyway, so you're not just placing these tiles like willy-nilly on your paper. You have to place them certain ways. You're going to have articles, you're going to have ads, and articles can't touch articles, and ads can't touch ads. And you start with this big tile in the middle, which is your like player power kind of thing, or what you're trying to accomplish basically this round. And so you can place tiles around it, but you have a limited space, and you can take as much time as you need once you have your tiles or not as much time, but you can choose to like arrange things. Like once something is placed, you can still move it around. But it sounds like it's, just a simple tile laying game. I find it really stressful. I really do like it. I never do well at this one, but it is still fun because you're putting it all down and you think, okay, yeah, I've got it all. And then you look and you're like, oh, I got 2 ads touching. Now I have to flip one over. Like if you've said you're done and you've messed up like that, I've done that lots, then you're like, oh, those are touching. They can touch diagonally in a corner, but they can't have any edges touching. So, and you have to have them up. Like if the ad is upright, you have to have it upright. If it's lengthwise, you have to have it lengthwise. The other thing is you have some of these ads have happy faces and some have sad faces, and you're trying to balance those out. That is tricky as well.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is you have to have so many ads at throughout the game, but I think if you have the most ads, is it the most or the least ads?
I think it's the most. If you have too many ads,
you just automatically lose. You didn't have enough news in there, and it was just you're just all selling ads for money. But you have to be careful of that because after the first round, you take your score and you're like, oh, okay, so you had 10 and I had 8 and she had 20. Oh, next round I can go hard because I'm not going to make up to her 20. And then the second round you might even out. So then the third round is, you have to be very careful of how many ads you have and how you balance your stuff out. And it's just a really fun game, and it's one of those fun games that even though I'm bad at it, I still enjoy it. And I have tried the solo one of it, and it's still just as tricky. Like there's still like a timer kind of thing, and you're just trying to do the best you can. It's quite hard, but I do find this really fun. And I remember when this came to Kickstarter, we backed it together, you and I remember the sell point was, oh, if you like Galaxy Trucker, and I'm like, I really don't like Galaxy Trucker, but I like the idea of it, like the tiling, the real time and all that. And so when this theme came out, little like animals making a newspaper, I'm like, perfect, this will be the one for me. And it is. And that's my number 6, Fit to Print.
Nice. Yeah, no, this is a great game for sure. All right, my number 6 is a game I've played a few times. I don't own it, but it just really does work well at higher player count, and that is Zoo Vadis. So Zoo Vadis is a negotiation game almost. So you all start at the bottom of the board, and you're trying to move your characters towards the top. And in order to do that, you either need to have the majority of the area that you're in. Say, okay, well, I'm the most person here, so yes, I will allow myself to move up. Or you need to kind of negotiate with other people. It's like, well, hey, let's vote on my side and allow me to move up. Then you'll have like the next most, but I'll definitely vote on your side so you can move up as well. Now, whether you honor that or not is completely up to you. But if you stab people in the back, chances are they're not going to help you along later on. But you're trying to kind of create these deals to move forward, and when you land on different places, you'll kind of get different places. You also have like special abilities that you can do, but in the end, there's like the final location, and that is going to trigger the end of the game. Once that's full, then you trigger the end of the game. But also, if you don't make it on that final spot, you don't score at all. So you need to get at least one of your characters up there, but then you're like, whoa. It's like, oh, well, do this for me and I'll do that for you. It's like, no, I'm not doing anything for you. You got 2 guys in there already. And I need to get in there, So it is an interesting game that kind of definitely takes different kind of a different mechanism into play. So you're moving along, you got to follow the path and then try to kind of make your way up. And then kind of say, like, okay, well, I was going to go this way, but there's a lot of people there and I don't know that they'll vote for me. So I'll go this way. But now it's like, oh man, now you're kind of tricked. Like you're stuck because you need to have enough people there to be able to move forward as well. Like there's different aspect in play, but the components are really cool. You have we all have animals dressed up in Victorian era type thing. And then so the artwork is really, really neat. The components are really neat. It's an interesting game with being a different type of mechanism. So that is my number 6, Zoo Vadis.
Yeah, I haven't tried this one, but I think
really? Yeah.
It intrigues me. Ryan always comes up with different ways of doing area control that I seem to like. So I'll have to try this one for sure. All right, my number 5 is a card game, and this is called Fantasy Realms. Now, this one is a game where you start with a hand of cards, and then you're going to end with that amount as well. And how you do that is you're trying to build up the best combo in your hand of points. Now, on your turn, you will pick up a card either from the open tableau in front of everybody. Like we all share this big discard pile. It's not even a pile because you have them all face up. Or I'm going to take one face down. I'm take the card, and if I want it, I'm going to keep it, but then I have to get rid of one of my cards. And the game will end when there's so many cards face up in the middle. You start with none, so it takes you a few, I guess at least 7 turns to get 7 cards in the middle. But once there's a certain amount, it depends on player count, that's how it ends. And then you will just look at your hand, and if you have the app, which you should because it's free, you'll just plug in all the cards you have, and it'll give you a score. Without the app, the scoring can be a little tricky because some cards will score on others, and then one card might score 5 different cards there, and then another one might score 2. So you kind of have to really figure that out. But the app is just awesome how you can just, it'll just do it for you. Now, what the combinations of these cards are is you have different not really factions, but you have different, you have wizards, you have leaders, you have army, you have weather, you have different things like that. And some of the things will cancel other things out. Like, for example, if you have weather, you might cancel out, I don't know, let's just say army. Any army card you have, you're going to cancel it out. So that means that the points on the army cards are 0. So you have to be careful. Well, then I'm not going to collect army cards if I'm going to go hard on the weather cards. But then some of them might be like, oh, but if you have this one special one, then you're going to get big points. So it's just, and there's another one that I think it's the wizards where they want you to collect a run of cards, meaning the numbers consecutively. That one's really hard. I've tried to do that a couple of times and it never works. But there's other ones where the princess wants to be with, I don't know, I think certain types of leaders or something, but you're just trying to basically get your cards to all work together. And it's neat because it's a fast game. I mean, once there's so many cards in the middle and it's either 7 or 8 or 10 or something, then that ends the game. So it could literally be over in that many rounds. And rounds meaning I take a card 1 round, you take a card 1 round. And if everybody has a fantastic hand, it's over. I played in a little tournament in this in Gobfest, and it was so fun. There was, I think there was about 20 people, so they did 5 groups of 4, and then the winners of those would go on and so on and so on. And it was just really neat to see the different scores, because you can get like huge scores of 300-400 points, but then sometimes you have nothing going on and you're at like 100 and some, and it just varies depending on what cards you pick up, what come into play. I know you're supposed to basically pay attention to what everybody else is taking, but it's really hard because you're really working on your own thing, and depending what they're taking, it doesn't necessarily mean much, because there's so many different types of combos that what they took, like they took 2 liters, that I mean, you don't know what else they have with them, so you don't know what to not give them. And it's really hard to hate draft in this one, because you don't know, other than if you see an exact 2-card combo and they take 1, you're going to basically not give them the second one to it. But it's a really fun game. I love this one. And that's my number 5, Fantasy Realms.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure. Wonderful. So my number 5 is a game that'll play up to 7 players, from 2 to 7. I've played a lot of time at the lower player count, and I found it was even better at the higher player count. And that is The Captain is Dead. So we've played this lot, 2 players, me and Lee. It's basically Star Trek, the board game. You have your ship and you have all the different decks on the ship and where you're going to be, but then your captain is dead. The shields are, or we can't warp, and we need to fix the warp to get out of there. And there's like aliens kind of boarding us, and then they can shoot torpedoes at us. So we got to make sure we keep the shields on. And then if you can't teleport between rooms, if the teleport machine is down, and then at the whole time you're still trying to kind of get your warp system back online so you can get out of there. So it's chaotic mayhem, and it slowly gets worse and worse. But each character have like different abilities and then different skills. And then depending on what you're trying to accomplish, it requires certain skills, but then you can go and collect cards that's going to give you kind of temporary skills as well that you can spend. But yeah, the only time I have won was when we played the max player counts. Like, oh my God, we finally won once. But it's so satisfying to play anyways. I really, really like this one. But it has like a pandemic like feel to it where everything is going wrong and it's getting worse. And you pull up, like, oh no, it's getting bad. It's like, oh great, we're getting shot. Our force field is down and we're out of torpedoes. We can't shoot these alien that's coming at us. So let's go build some torpedoes. But there's so much going on. It's just so much fun though. And that is my number 5, which is great. Like it's a deep, it's like a group strategy game you got to figure out and try to survive. And it works so great at the higher player count. So that's my number 5. The Captain is Dead.
And that one's totally cooperative, right?
That is a cooperative game. Yeah.
Nice. All right. My next one is my number 4. And this is Sheriff of Nottingham. This was one of the first games I got, and I was so excited to play it. And most of the people I played with didn't like it. And still, I mean, I haven't played with people who have liked it, but I'm going to find them because I really like this game. And it's not my typical game. It's a bluffing game, basically. Mm-hmm. What you're trying to do is you all have these player boards and a hand of cards, and you have some money, and you get to draft cards from the deck. I think you can even take off the discard, but I'm not 100% sure anymore. But you'll take these cards in your hand, and then you decide how many you're going to put in your little sack. And what you're doing with that is you're going to try to get them across the border. Now, there's always a sheriff each round, and it changes as the rounds go. But you're going to go to the sheriff. I am bringing across 2 apples, a cheese, and a bread. And he's going to think about it like, I don't know if I trust you. I'm not sure. You might be lying, and he can maybe ask for a bribe. Like maybe I could be convinced to just let it go, but you could be like, well, no, that's really what I have in there. Like I'm being 100% honest. And then he's still thinking about it, because if he calls your bluff and says, no, I think you're lying, and pulls out the cards and that's exactly what's in there, I forget what happens to him, but I know
It's
if
not good.
yeah, it's not good.
Like you
But
gotta pay them
pay
or
money, I
something.
think, yeah.
Yeah.
But even if he calls my bluff and I'm honest, he still has to pay. But if
Yeah.
I'm trying to sneak something else in there, I might have had some like contraband of some kind, and I can't even remember what the contraband in
There's
is
like
other.
spices and
Oh, right,
weapons.
weapons. And if you have the little expansion, it's people. You're trying to smuggle
Oh.
people in there, and they're big points. So, yeah, depending whether he does that or not, he might let you across, and you're like, cool. And then you open up your sack and you show him what's in there, and you get to place that alongside your player board, and those are points at the end. Some of them are like a set collection thing, so different things you might want to collect. So once you've got some things, and then you try to say you have other things, if people look and go, oh, well, that would make you a complete set, like I'm pretty sure you're full of it, that could maybe give them that idea. But it's just neat because you can also make deals like, okay, well, if you let me go this time, when I'm the sheriff, I'll let you go. And then you don't have to. You don't have to like keep any promises. It can just all be like a bunch of like bull. Like you can just decide how you can be totally honest the whole time, and then
Yeah.
maybe do a really cool swindle at the end with a bunch of like contraband or something. But it's a neat game, and it's interesting to play and see how people lie, because like some people just can't lie and some lie
Oh.
too well, and you're like, wait a sec. You had a completely straight face there, like how did you do that? So it's funny because I'm not the greatest liar, so my face probably will like be like, I have this, and I'm trying to like not laugh. I
I
don't know if I've
normally
ever
lose
won
this
one.
game because
Yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
trust anybody. I'm like, no, that's not, no way. You're lying. You're lying. I'm good looking. And that's, oh, darn it.
And then they weren't. See, and I don't win because I can't lie well.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'm gonna say is the reason. But I mean, there's like little strategy in this, and there's luck, and there's can you convince somebody? Like, there's all kinds of different skills you need to have in this game, and I just find it really interesting. But that's my number 4, Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah, this is a good pick.
And it's a
All
1
right.
to 6 player, not one. What was it again? It's a 3 to 6
Let's see if
player
it's on
game.
the box.
Yeah, 3 to 6.
Okay, perfect.
BG.
All right, my number 4 is Camel Up. Now, Camel Up will play 3 to 8, so it plays a nice big group. This almost feels like a party game, but it's really not. Like, you have the dice, you have your things, it's a race. And first of all, the board is beautiful. You open it has this big puff-up oasis that comes up. Then you have like the tickets, and you're going to be bidding on each round of the race. And there's like so many dice once they come out, then that ends that round. But you're also bidding on the overall outcome of the full race as well. And now the earlier you bid, the higher the value you're going to get if you're right? If you're wrong, that's not good. And what's interesting as well is like you have this little plastic pyramid, the dice are in there, and you're going to give it a shake, and then you push a button and the dice come out, and whatever it lands on is how much that particular colored camel is going to move by. So I think it's anywhere from 1 to 3. So you shake, purple moves up by 3. Perfect. And then that goes on, and then you shake again, and then it's like, yellow moves up by 1, and then but it lands on top of blue. And then you shake again, and then blue moves, but because yellow's on top of it, then both of them move forward because they can stack on each other. And then you have these wild, crazy camels that have got onto the track, but they're racing backwards. So if the white or the black dice comes out, I think they're gray actually, but they have like different colored numbers. So if they come up, those camels will move forward, but the opposite way, and they're getting in the way. If you ever land on a white or black camel and they move afterwards, now your camel can move backwards in the track if that happens. You can also kind of place like where you can affect the race a little bit. Like if they land on this space right here, then they move forward some more, or they move backwards, or whatever could happen. Like you can kind of influence the race a little bit as well. And then you're bidding on how you think it's going to go for that particular round until all the dice that you could come out, or you can bid for the outcome of the race. But then again, you don't want to necessarily do that too fast because it changes quick. And sometimes be like, okay, great, red is totally winning, I'm going to bid on red. And then, oh, darn, like red's in the complete, okay, I'm changing. You can't change your bet, but you can add more. It's like, hey, I'm going to put purple now. I think purple's going to win. Oh, wait, red's back in the lead. Okay, well, that's okay because I already have my red in there. But it's very interesting. It's like you really get cheering for these stupid counts. But it's just a lot of fun. So that is my number. What are we on now? Number 4, and that's Camel Up.
Yeah, that's a funny party game, especially when they're going backwards. The camels, you're like, no, I was like, you were in the lead and now you're going backwards. Yeah, it's funny. All right, so my number 3 is a tile collection game, and this one is called New York Slice. This one you just received, right? You just received this game.
Yeah, I just bought this one.
Oh, you bought it. I've had this. This was one of my first games as a board gamer, and I don't even know where I played it first, but I might have just watched a video on it, and I'm like, I must have this. And the production of this alone sold it for me.
So
I mean,
cool.
I love pizza. Who doesn't love pizza? But just how it's produced in a pizza box, a very thick one though, not like a cheap pizza box, with like the title on it. And then you open the pizza box and there's these pizza tiles like in pizza slice sized pieces. And the score pad is like a menu, or sorry, a bill, a receipt, and the rules is like a menu. So it's all very thematic. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is you flip all these tiles over and then you make piles of 11. And then you will, the first round, you'll flip over these tiles if you're the starting player, and you will get to make this pizza. So you'll place these tiles to form a complete pizza. And you get to choose it. Or no, you don't actually choose it, though that's just random how it's placed. You get to split the pizza. Mm-hmm. So the tiles are just placed as they flip over. And then you get to choose how it's split up. Now, this one goes up to 2 to 6. So it goes 2 to 6 players. So if there's 6 players, you have to divide that pizza 6 ways. And you can do it any way you want. You could give like 5 players one piece and then have a big chunk for the other one. But the thing is, you're going to be the one to choose last. So you want to make them all kind of juicy, because if you make like a couple of them really good, you're not going to end up with it. So you want to try to even out these pieces. Now, the other thing is you have these, I forget what they're called, the little tiles that you're...
Specials, like
that's what
today's specials.
Yeah, so you always have one every round, and that is going to vary. It might, make anchovies be positive points where they're typically negative points if you have any anchovies on your pizzas, but it can be different things. So that's part of the piece. So you could even just have that as a separate piece, or you could place it on some of the pieces depending how you split them up. But then once they're split up, then everybody's going to draft a section of them, and you'll end up with the last one. And then it'll pass to, say, Mel. She's going to flip over all the 11 tiles and make a pizza and then split it up. And you're just going to figure out your points at the end. And what it typically is like a set collection thing. So there are some pieces that you'll have, like the vegetarian ones might have only 5 pieces in the game, whereas the pepperoni, there's like 12 pieces in the game. You might have just some cheese that is like, I don't know, 6 pieces, so you know how many there are in the game, and you want to have the majority of each type, because if you have that majority, you get that number. So if there's 5 of them in the game and you have the majority, you will get 5 points. So those are ways to make points. Now, you can also eat pieces. So if
Right.
you are like this, I'm not going to win that, Mel's got all the pepperoni and I have like 4. They're basically useless. You can eat them and flip them over, and they are worth a certain amount of points as well. And there is one special that makes the eaten pizza worth more points. So if you happen to have that, you might just eat all your pizza. But it's neat because there's a couple pieces that have 2 different kinds on them on the one piece. So it's like a half and a half. And so that could go either way depending what works for your collection. But it's just a really simple game, but just the theme with it and just, the production, it just feels like I don't know, it feels like you're playing this just really cool pizza game, which you are. But I've brought it out with many different groups, and especially new gamers or just people who don't really play games, and they're like, wow, this is really cool. And they all seem to enjoy it. I don't know anyone who's not liked this game. It's very, very light. I mean, it's just basically a set collection game, but I really do like it. And that's my number 3, New York Slice.
Yeah, this one was a lot of fun. I was impressed. It's one that I've heard lots about. Like I split you choose for mechanism, and it's like, and finally, yeah, my neighbor was selling it, so I bought it super cheap, and then it was so much fun. All right, so that was your number 3. My number 3 is another racing type of game, and that is Steampunk Rally. And they also have now Steampunk Rally Fusion. And this one will play up to 8 players as well, so 2 to 8 players. And yes, there's a race aspect to it, but you kind of forget about that because there's an engine building aspect to it. And you're actually building an engine. You're building this machine that you're racing. And this is going to be powered by your dice. So you have steam or coal or electricity, and the different colored dice kind of represents that resources. And depending on what you add onto it, could be that for every 2 pips you put there, it moves so many spaces. Be like, okay, great. Well, I'm going to put a 6 there or whatever. But then these dice are clogging up your machine. They just don't come out. You need to get them out. And you're going to either spend gear to vent out these dice out of your machine, or maybe you're just going to go on rough terrain and those those chunky pieces that are kind of clogged up, they'll just break off anyways and you don't have to worry about them. And it's a drafting game because you start with a bunch of cards, and then each card will have like different aspect, a different thing you can add to your machine, or you can keep the card to discard to get dice and gears or different things like that. And it's like they're multi-use, so you kind of like, okay, what do I want to keep? So you'd be like, okay, well, I'm gonna keep this one. Then you pass it on, you get the other ones, like, okay, these are great. Well, then I'm gonna keep this and add these like weird legs, like it's steampunk theme, right? Like, so you're adding these weird kind of creepy crawly legs to your machine. So, and some things might make it so that because you're not rolling right on the ground, then you can kind of use to avoid the rough terrain, so your machine doesn't take damage. But then you can reinforce your machine too as you go, depending on where you put the dice and what you activate. This is such a neat, satisfying game. I say it's a race, but you get so caught up in what you're building that you might kind of forget about the race aspect a little bit. But it's tons and tons of fun. Now, the first time I purchased this one, it was from the Falcon auction, and it was a specialty one. So like the funds raised by this game were going to the children's hospital, and it was a Tesla edition one. So it was like a specialty one. So I have that. Now I have Steampunk Rally Fusion, but I'm not giving up my special Tesla edition one either. So I have both copies, and the Fusion includes regular and the Fusion as well. So I haven't played the Fusion. It adds another dice, and I don't know how that dice, but it says more player interaction. To me, it means more take that. So, but it's really, really great, really fun. Components are great. The artwork is neat because you play as a different character, and each character now is steampunk, like you're half machine, half person, but you're like an inventor like an inventor from like history. So you could be Marie Curie, or you could be Tesla, or you can be, all these different characters that you can be. But so good. Great game. And that is my number 3, Steampunk Rally. And looks like we lost Carla, so we'll have to wait for her to come back to be able to do our number 2. But yeah, we only have 2 left so far. Only one crossover. So we'll have to see what Carla has for number 2. See if we get more crossovers. But while we wait for her, let me tell you guys a bit about Falcon. So it's a 3-day event. On the first day, it was just kind of lots of open gaming. We did a couple of playthroughs. We ended up having all 4 of the finalists for the Canadian Game Design Award kind of come on the channel. And we talked about the process for creating the game, the process for entering the award as well. It was hard because I was a judge this year as well. So I got to view all 9. There was 19 entries, which was I think a record for this particular award. That was the most entries they ever had entered. So there was 19 entries, and it was so hard to narrow it down. Some of my favorite ones didn't make the final either. Like there were some really good games. And then the winner actually was really interesting because it was Gavin Brown and Adam Wise with their entry for Flask. And they kind of took a game that mimicked the style of backgammon. So it's a roll and move, but it was so good. So like the whole judging portion was difficult. They're saying you try to narrow it down to like 4 or 5. I'm like, okay, you're getting 7 or 9 because I can't narrow it down. There was so many entries that were so good. But this particular one is like a 2-player abstract strategy, backgammon kind of based a little bit. But it was really interesting. You went through the path, and where you stop, if you're kind of on the main corridor portion, you can build on one side or the other. And there's multiple ways to win. There's all scrolls on the other. Like if you make all the way through to the other person's side, you get to claim a scroll back. If you claim all 4 scrolls, you win the game. Or if you build in the corridor right in front of the other players and you have all of those sections built all the way to the top, you would win the game. So as you build, if you build on your side, and you might have to because that might be where you land, it's going to cause you to start building, even though that's technically helping the other players. So you kind of want to try to do as little of that as possible and build on the other side. But every time you build one of those, you do get a benefit. So when it builds all the way to the top, you get like a specialty card that you can activate and gives you benefit as well. So they're not all bad to build, but ideally you don't want all your side to be built all the way. So that was interesting. And then the other way that you can win is if you have all the other characters, because if you land on top of them, it kind of knocks them out and you kind of capture them. So you can wake them back up and gain them back. But if you ever get all of the other players' token knocked out, then you win the game that way as well. So there's 3 different ways of winning the game. And it was just very smooth, really neat. Now, complete prototype. So it still look very much like prototype. They're cardboard pieces. There's a few plastic pieces. They had used Santorini pieces to kind of mark when the thing was built all the way to the top. And I think it was like little frogs, little plastic frogs was the bits that they had kind of moving forward. Oh, I guess maybe like copper. But anyways, it was so good. And then we did have Gavin Brown join us on the channel, kind of talk about the game as well. And as I mentioned, there were winners. The winners were announced at the auction. And this year I ended up buying 7 game at the auction. So I did not too bad. But it was a lot of fun with the auction as well. And then on the final day, by the final day, you're like, wiped, you're tired. I did end up buying, because there was one of the location there that was kind of They did a lot of RPG stuff, and a lot of what the event that they do are all fundraisers for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And they had a lot of stuff about inclusivity, and I ended up buying a set of Braille dice that you can actually feel, and it's Braille. So, I mean, obviously I don't need Braille dice, but I thought it would be cool. All right, Carla, you're back. It is your turn with number 2.
A catastrophe outside. Anyway, my number 2 is another tile laying game. This one is, what do they call it when you're all doing it at the same time? It's what's the word? Not. There's a word.
That's gonna bug me now.
I know.
Simultaneous play, I guess.
That's it. Yes, simultaneous play. This is Planet Unknown. Now, this one is one we always bring out when we have big groups because it doesn't add to the length of the game again. And it's awesome because you are all choosing from this like Lazy Susan holding tile holder. And depending what is spun to your view, so what's in front of you, you choose from that section. And so you're choosing a tile and you're placing it on your planet. And you can't all play with the same ones, but you can flip them over and then you all have different ones. You have like a player power and all different kinds of things. So it's kind of neat. But what you're trying to do is build up this planet with tiles and try to fill as many rows and columns as possible. Also, you're going to be moving this little rover around and it's going to collect different meteors and those are going to give you points. There's also technology that you're going to try to upgrade. And as you upgrade that, you're going to be able to do more things with that. But it's just a really neat game. And I just love that there's also these objectives and kind of similar to Between Two Castles. Like me and my left player have an objective that we're kind of racing to. And then me and the right player have one. And then so on, it goes around the table. But they're just unique to the two of you. So like this one might actually contradict with this one, which has happened before. And then you just have to choose, okay, which one am I going to go for? I can see you're going hard there on the left. So I'm just going to not focus on that. And I'm going to do this one on the right. There's multiple things that you can move your little tracks up with. Now, that's the whole point of the game too, is you get to move up tracks. People who love moving up tracks, this is the game for you because every time you place a tile, you're going to move up one of those tracks. And when you move up, you might land on a spot that will bump up another track and then another one, another. And it just kind of like, pinballs back and forth because you can be going, oh, this one's going to like advance that one's going to advance another one, which I'm going to pick this one because it's going to advance one. This one's going to give me another rover and all kinds of like, I kind of relate it to Gone Shon Clever where it's like, this is going to let me do that which will let me do this and let me do that. And you all know that I love those kind of combo games. But this one is really neat. I'm patiently awaiting getting the expansion. It is out, but it is quite pricey for an expansion, but it's supposed to like quite a bit to the game. And it's supposed to have a lid that actually goes on that Lazy Susan because as of now, it doesn't come with a lid. So if you were ever to place that game vertical, tiles everywhere. And it's a disaster. But this is a really neat game and it plays well at 2. It plays well at every player count because you're really not adding anything to the game other than scoring at the end. And it's just awesome. I love it. And the reason I didn't like kickstart it or get it right away is, well, you probably know because it's a space themed game, but it is a really good game. And that's my number 2, Planet Unknown.
Nice. Yeah, this one is so cool. The first time I played was on the reverse board and mine was a black hole. So I had this big black hole and I had to try to maneuver around and it was so hard. But my technology went up way faster than other people's. But I did not win. And I got a shower cap to try to put a shower cap over that thing to see. That was one of the recommendations I saw. So we'll see if
Might
that
have
works.
to do that till I get my expansion.
Right?
That's a good idea.
Might
Yeah.
work.
I just don't.
All
put it
right, my
vertical anymore.
number 2. Oh, see, yeah, mine is vertical right now. I'm dreading opening it. All right, my number 2, and we're going more horror theme now, and this is Elder Sign. So this is an Arkham Horror type game, and you have the cards, but it's really dice based. So, and what's really cool, like it has really cool component. You have like the clock, and every time midnight comes around, like something bad happens and a new card comes out, and it's probably not good. And then you have these different card locations that you can go and visit, and then once you go there, say, okay, well, you need to roll this symbol and then this symbol in order to unlock this card. Now, if you're successful, it's great, you get this. If you're not successful, you take these damage or these bad thing. Maybe you go insane a little bit. Maybe you take some health damage. It's such an interesting game, and you get these little footprints that allow you to re-roll. But this one, and I think I forgot to say, but it'll play up to 8 players. So it's a neat one. We've played this one over Halloween very often because it can play so many people, and it has that spooky theme. And then you play like different ones where you're kind of different bad guy you're trying to, because as you kind of close up the locations, like you're trying to clear up these locations, and you kind of gain points from that, and it gets you kind of closer to getting rid of the bad guy. And there's like a tracker on that as well. So like a lot of times the bonus that you get for the location is you get to go so many to send him back to his side. I don't know what it's all called there, but and it's a dice rolling game, and it's just really satisfying. But yeah, so and I haven't played this in a little while, but it's, you have the scrolls, you have the clues, you have different things that you need to roll. But sometimes some cards are harder than others, but you can get items that will mitigate. Says, okay, well, you get the yellow dice now you can use. And it is cooperative. So you can be like, well, I'm going to stay at this location, and I have this available here, so you can use it to help you. So you can kind of work with each other a little bit that way as well. But yeah, and that's Elder Sign. It's just a fun, spooky Arkham Horror type game that has lots of dice chucking. So
yes, very cool. I
mm-hmm.
like this one. Awesome. Good choice. All right. Well, my number 1 is Lords of Vegas. Now, you do need the expansion for this to play at the higher player count. The base game alone is a 2 to 4, but with the Americana expansion, you can play 2 to 6. Now, this game is my favorite, better than Monopoly game. This one, I feel like if you want a game that it has, I mean, it's not like Monopoly, but it gives me that feel of, the economic part of it. There's luck involved, but it's still fun. What you're trying to do here is build up casinos. Everybody gets little lots, their parking lots, and then you can do what you want with them. You can build any color casino you want in there. You can do, you can sprawl, meaning you could take over somebody's casino next to you, and you'd have to make it the same color at first, but then you can pay to re-roll the dice and hope you get the higher pip in there, and then you will be the boss of that casino. Because every time it's someone's turn, they will flip a card, and whatever color that card is, those are the color of casinos that are going to get paid out and get points. So if you happen to be control of that color of casino, you're going to get the points. The points work neat in this game because they are... they start with just 1, so you go like 1, 2, 3, and then it kind of goes by 2s and then 3s and 4s and so on. So once you get to the 4s and 5s, if you score and you only get 4 points, you don't move up. So you really need to build out and spread your casinos. The strip in the base main game, that will pay out quite a bit as well, because sometimes it'll have, say on the card, the strip will pay out, and depending on the color, it'll just be the whole strip will pay out. So it's nice to go up there, but they are quite expensive to build there. There's another thing you can do. You can gamble at other people's casinos. You can roll dice and bet as much as you want, as long as they have that amount. And if you roll the dice right, they have to give you the money. There's other things you can do. You can just, if the lot hasn't been drawn yet, you can, I can't remember the name of it, but you can just buy that lot and put a casino there. And then once that card is drawn, whoever drew it owns it. So you're kind of, it's risky, but it may very well not be drawn till the end of the game. So you might just be able to collect a lot of money and points off that. It's a really neat game, and it can like flip flop really fast. Like you could control a bunch of casinos, but then somebody is around you and starts to change the color of theirs to yours, and then, you know, tries to take over those casinos, and they very well can do that. It's a fun, really cool game with a bit of luck in it. Of course, I mean, you're betting and doing things. There's luck involved, but it's still a lot of strategy and just fun and, you know, risk and all those kinds of things. But I just love it. And I've had this one for a long time. And then I did sell my older copy and there's a second version out now because it was out of print. And it's just beautiful, and I love it. But I do suggest, it does come with paper money, but I always add my poker chips to this, because when you're playing a casino game, I think the poker chips add to it. You could have bought this big collector's version of it with these really expensive poker chips. I don't actually haven't seen them because it was just a ridiculous amount of money. But I just used my iron clays, and they work just perfect. So that's my number one, Lords of Vegas Americana.
Wonderful. All right. My number one is another racing game, and this one will play up to 10 players, and that is Formula D. Now, Formula D is so cool, mainly for the components. So you each get your little gearbox, and you're shifting. And it's impossible to play this game without like making your shifting and racing motor noises. We get right into that. So, and you start at first gear, and in first gear, you're going to be rolling, is it a D4? And it goes from like 1 to 3. Like, even though it's a D4, it's not 1 to 4 per se. Or maybe even just 1 and 2. And then you can shift up, and then it's going to be, you know, from like 2 to 6 or whatever. And now you're rolling a D6. And then you're going to shift up again, and now you're rolling a D8, but it's going from 4 to 12 or whatever it could be. And so the higher gear you are, the higher numbers you're going to be rolling. So that's good. It's a race. You want to roll high. However, there are corners, and you need to make a point of stopping in the corners, because if you don't, you're going to take damage on your vehicle. Now, there's 2 modes you can play where you just kind of take random damage, or then the other ones you take a specific damage, either to your wheels, to your brakes, to your different things like that. Most of the time with the kids, we were just playing where you just take overall damage. And there's the map's double-sided, so you can play 2 maps, and you can add weather. Like, there's weather aspect to it as well. But it's so satisfying. It's like, okay, big straightaway, we're going to shift up. And you can't just go from 6 gear down to 1. You can only shift down by 1 between each roll. So it's like, oh no, I rolled a lot higher than I thought I would. And I'm gonna take some damage because I can't slow down fast enough. But it's such a satisfying game to play with the shifter, definitely. The first version doesn't have the gearbox. It has the dice still. This is, I think, the second version. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to get Formula D, get the second version so you get that little shift box, because it makes such a big difference. It's so satisfying to play with. And this is one where my kids do not fight me. If we say, okay, let's play Formula D, they're all right, they're all in, because the race theme games for some reason just works. And then that little shifting box, it just brings everybody in. And then, this one will play up to 10 players, and you're all kind of racing, and it's super satisfying. And that's my number one, Formula D.
I've never played that one. I'll have to
Really?
No, I haven't. I've had
Oh my
Downforce.
gosh.
That's about the only race game I think. Oh, Jamaica I have too, but it's less of a race game than those.
Have you
ones
played
there.
Heat?
Yeah, I've tried Heat. Yeah. At
Okay.
a convention I have. Yeah. Wow. So only one crossover.
I know.
Whole thing. Interesting. Wow. That's neat. Now we haven't actually discussed what our next.
No,
one
I
will
was
be,
gonna
so
say we never
it'll
talked
be
about next episode, so it's gonna
it'll
be a surprise for us
to all
too.
of us. Yeah. But yeah, so that was totally interesting. I do like when, and it's nice to have this list too, because now when we have a big game day, we can be like, oh, let's just pop over here.
What was on the
We can
list?
just play
Yeah.
some of those. Yeah, it was awesome. But before we go, where can people find you, Mel?
So I am on Instagram at Mal's_boardgame_room, as well as Facebook under Mal's Board Game Room. Also, we have a Discord, so be sure to check us out on Discord. And my YouTube channel is Mal's Board Game Room. So how about you, Carla? Where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram at boardgamespecialist, all one word, and I have a Facebook page called Red Deer Board Game Fanatics. Well, until next time, thank you all for listening and hope you're having a good summer. See you again.
Bye, everybody.
If you wanna stay